Hi guys, welcome to the next installment of Agents Unmasked. I'm really excited today to finally bring Matt Tracker himself to the show. And of course, I'm talking about none other than Bill Faries. Welcome, Bill.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's funny. I've done a couple interviews over time, and um, I'm always interested in what people want to know or ask and things of that nature. But um, when we chatted not too long ago,
Exactly.
it's kind of funny. Like literally, if we shot these back to back, like it would have been a weird dynamic. Like, all right, Rob, I'm gonna pepper you with some questions, and then vice versa. So it's always nice to be able to be on the other side. I don't have to edit this.
Yeah.
So I'm happy about that. But I appreciate you having me on. I love what you're doing with the website, as I've already said in repeated videos and as much as I can. And um, you know the the first the episode you did with Wes and the cover of the theme and everything that you're doing.
I mean, I really wanted to have a chat because you've been doing so many interviews, as you said, throughout the many years you've been a content creator, and I thought it'd be fun to kind of put you back into the hot seat or not so hot seat and see your view from your side. And I think the best way to start that is I always like to find out what brought people into M.A.S.K. So kind of taking a step back multiple years, like 35 years. And do you remember your very first experience with M.A.S.K? Was it a cartoon? Was it that first toy you received?
It was the cartoon. The toy was very soon after. It was around Christmas, 1985, give or take. I would have been about 3.5, 4 years old, right around there, and it was Thunderhawk. That was my first toy. There you go. You're ready with the props. You weren't.
I wasn't kidding.
Was the first instance that I had, and I think I sent you the picture too. Like it's me in that ugly yellow.
I shall put it here again for everyone to see.
Yeah, it's for me, it's an iconic picture for myself. Like I'm opening it up. You can see even when my face is pointing down, you can see the amazement in it, with my long, my long hair. I got what is it? I can't remember the term. I got the mullet going, and I should remember that as a hockey fan. It's a big thing with hockey. Those were like the earliest instances that I remember. And fortunately for me, I inherited terrible teeth. Like my teeth, no matter how much I brushed, and it just didn't work. A lot of the M.A.S.K toys I got when I was younger came from going to the dentist. So not only were my parents paying for the dentist, but then they had to then treat me to a M.A.S.K toy. It's a weird dynamic when you think about it.
Well, it's kind of a win-win, I guess.
At the time, no, but as you think about it now, yes, definitely. I always think back to that, and I talk to my parents about that off and on. Like, what was that what you wanted to do? Like, I just always found that interesting. So,
but did you have a special piece that you remember when you were younger? Did you have a favorite? Was it Thunderhawk?
Thunderhawk was always there. It was always like I would say it's always been my favorite. And with the website being the namesake of MattTracker.com, and people, I guess, expect it. If I had to go like a second tier when I was younger, it would have been Rhino, I would say. And it's like the first, like that's like the first big toy you might have gotten when you were younger, that you can recall, and all the chrome, the mechanisms on it. It's hard to not remember that as a tangible item that you received when you were younger. Two figures, unheard of for almost anything at that point. And yeah, Thunderhawk was there, and it was always in the forefront. Rhino had been right there too. And Firefly was also one that I really loved when I was younger. I remember that I accidentally broke mine. The wing fell off, or broke off, and my dad said, "I'll fix it for you." And it's just these random memories you have when you were younger. It was one screw.
Yeah.
Fixed it right up, and I really wish I had that original one that I had with that one screw in it, just as that constant reminder. But I always remember, but some of them did not survive my childhood. So, unfortunately.
So did any of them make it? What do you still have from your childhood?
Yeah, some did. Bulldog, Condor, and Jackhammer. I didn't have any of Series 4 when I was younger. I didn't have the larger sets of Series 3, so I didn't have like Goliath or Meteor. Go that route. I had some of the smaller ones in that one. I do have my original Thunderhawk too, but it's on my office at work, which I haven't been to in since March. I've been in there for like 3 minutes. I picked it up the last time I was there. I was like, "Should I bring you home?" No, you're watching over, making sure that the overgrowth doesn't come in and things like that. So it's still in good shape. It's just hanging out there, just waiting either for me to come back or me to take it home. So it's there might have been some other pieces too, but I those are the ones that I had. I definitely remember that survived.
I noticed you have a lot of resonance. You mentioned a lot of the M.A.S.K vehicles. So I take it you were more of a fan of Matt and his crew than Miles and his crew, or who did you root for?
I mean, I didn't have a rooting interest really. I appreciate, like, even back then I appreciated the aspects of how you would have these history things intertwined. Obviously Venom's evil and M.A.S.K is good, but I appreciated the stories. Like, I appreciated the history lessons that I was actually learning through these individual writers that were on the show. Like, I was aware of that back then. I wasn't aware that people were voice actors, but I was aware of what I was learning. And my favorite character is going to be Matt Tracker, but Miles Mayhem, if you're following along with a tier list that Dave and I are doing, that's like the perfect figure. So like there's these dynamics with it. And did I ever want Venom to win? Well, not really. I just wanted to see a good episode, or along those lines. And as a kid, I probably would have wanted more violence. Maybe some of the shots actually had made their mark. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that was a very typical thing in that era. Whatever missiles would blow someone up and the guy would walk out completely unscathed.
Unless you're a robot,
yeah,
you didn't get hit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wish there was a lot more actions with the masks themselves. I mean, I've been watching over all the episodes again, and for the whole thing being called M.A.S.K, yes, they wear their masks, but the use of the masks is not that much in each episode.
It's about 2 minutes per episode, give or take.
Yeah.
Not even really.
I think probably less than that. And quite a lot of the characters didn't even use it.
I'll let you work on that.
I am.
I'm not going to calculate that out per episode. That's for you.
I'm actually working on that right now, and it's quite shocking.
No, I don't doubt it. And I can't wait to actually see the numbers, to be honest.
That's actually a good point. I'll add those numbers in. Did you prefer the figures or the vehicles themselves? What kind of drew you to the toys? Because the figures, I guess, were the soul of the show. I mean, they're the characters, right? The protagonists and the antagonists, and the vehicles were the conduits. But the vehicles were the ones that did all the cool transformations. So which one did you like? I mean, I don't know. As a kid, I would have taken the vehicles up front if I had to choose one. Now, as an adult, I'm kind of on the 50-50. Like, I feel the vehicle needs the figure. Otherwise, it's not complete. And not just complete in terms of a collector complete, as in complete. It's not whole. I mean,
you're not wrong there on a sentiment. Without, the figure, obviously doesn't have the same articulation as a G.I. Joe or anything else along those lines. They're scaled to the proportions they are because they're a symbiote with the vehicle. I can remember watching the cartoon. I would want to see the vehicles. Like, I want to see the transformation. I want to see the action. I want to see all that happening. At that point, it wasn't really for me. Like, all right. I wasn't angry that Scott was always in trouble, or I wasn't angry that Gloria was only in X episodes or whatever it was. I remember I would pick the toy up, and if the figure wasn't in the vehicle, though, it wasn't right. If I was playing with Thunderhawk, if I was playing with Condor or Boulder Hill when I was younger, if I didn't have it in there, I wasn't doing it right, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that I leaned either way back then. I would say that, like, hey, look, I can pick this up and put a figure in there. Like, hey, look, I saw Bruce Sato flying Thunderhawk. Maybe I did that when I was younger. Or, hey, look, Buddy's in all of Hondo's vehicles for some reason. Where's Hondo? I don't know. It's a weird dynamic, I think, with it. And I wouldn't say I lean either way. Right now, if I was a casual collector, I'd want the vehicles and the figure, but only a couple. If I'm a completionist, I have to, have what I have. But if I was a very casual fan and said, I just wanted to get Thunderhawk back or Switchblade or whatever, I could be content with that. But for me right now, and I have to have both. I'd have to have the figure and the vehicle. So it's hard to say back then really what drew me toward it. But I do remember fondly, if they weren't together, I wasn't doing it right. So the cartoon made it had a big impact on me with the commercialization of things. Well, I would say
it was a full-on 25-minute commercial, right? The cartoons themselves. So, and we don't have that nowadays, for good or bad. I mean, I do miss those times. But talking about realization and trying to mimic what's happening, we got the issue of the short versus the long mask. Now, were you the kind who would chop your long mask off, or did you have short masks?
I actually had short masks. So I was, like I said, I think I was about 4, maybe 3.5, 4 years old. My brother would have been about 2 at the time. And I think at that point in time, we had Series 1. We had everything. My parents, they treated us very well, and they always do and still do. But especially when we were younger, I think we were right on the forefront of when it hit the store shelves, we had those items. Unfortunately, none of the masks made it through my childhood. The Matt Tracker figure did, but none of the masks did. I wish I had the original cut of Hondo instead of cutting it for back then. I have it now, but I probably had 10 of them or whatever. Who knows, really? The short masks, we had those in the States, and I don't remember exactly how long they were out for. Maybe 6 months to a year before. It might have even been less than that, really. Yeah. I can tell you that I never choked on anything.
Well, except in your episode.
Well, yes, but when I was younger, I never thought, "Ooh, candy," and even then, the long mask, I'm still gonna choke on the damn thing. It's not that much bigger.
I think it's probably a bigger hazard, to be honest. It'll nicely fit in to your trachea, and then this will act as a nice valve to stop it. Yeah, so it'll just get stuck fully. So
it was a combination of choking hazard and losing them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when that happened, you lost some quality with the figures because it covers up a lot of the detail that the figures have. It's a feat of engineering to all of a sudden go back to the drawing board and engineering these molds for these figures you already released. But I have them all lined up here with the figure shop I have, and I have a Spectrum Matte. I have two of them. I have two of each one for whatever one's there, and some of them are hard to find. Like I said, the Honda one is almost impossible.
Tiny little thing. It's ridiculous.
No, it's so small. Like I don't even know how it was manufactured. Unless you want to pay $100 and some for the mask, you're better off getting the second version, the long mask, and cutting it. I know it's not ideal, but if you're doing it for display purposes and you don't care about that portion of it, I would go that route. I mean, that's what I would do. But I also scoured and found stuff early on when I was recollecting, so I was fortunate. But now you're paying $100 or more just for that tiny mask, and it's you open up the box, you're going to get it, and you'll probably lose it opening it up from the box. That's how small it is.
Yeah.
So, but we in the States, we were fortunate enough to have it. I know overseas that was a later thing that was collected because that wasn't over there. So it's harder to find that. Like if you're overseas, go to eBay USA, you'll find them a little easier than you will eBay UK, eBay Germany, and etc. So
yeah, I remember cutting all my own masks for the Series 1 guys. And I was always wondering why on earth is it so different.
I don't think I cut any of the long ones when I was younger. I think I just if I had it, it would have been like in a 2-pack. Maybe my parents got, they were like $1.99 back then or something like that. Imagine that, $1.99.
Add 2 zeros now.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them are very you hold up Ultra Flash. That's one of the ones that are one of the biggest changes out of the short to long. But there's almost no change with Backlash, with Dusty.
And Spectrum as well. I just dropped my short mask. It decided to roll away.
Oh no!
But the Spectrum has the extra pipes on the side, which is one of the bigger differences.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, there you go. So it's the pipes. Apart from it being long, so the pipes are quite different. And I remember cutting those pipes off. And I wish I had them. I don't. I don't have I only have 2 masks. 2 mask figures with the masks.
So did you cut them because the short mask, or did you cut them to make it more?
I wanted to look like the cartoon. I wanted to look like the cartoon, and I wanted to look like the box art.
Okay.
Yeah. So it always felt a little I didn't even know about the short masks at that time. It was something only as I
No,
became
that's exactly.
an adult
I was
collector.
curious. Like, how would you know about that? Like,
Yeah.
that's why like when you said it, I was like, all right, let me
Yeah.
ask. I'm asking the questions now.
Nah. We got to stop that right there.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Since we're talking about collecting, I think this is a quite a good chance to move into the world of collecting. And I'd like to ask my first agent to ask Unmasked question, and that came from Advectorize on Instagram. And he wanted to know, what is the first item next to your childhood toys that you bought when you decided to start collecting?
Out of everything,
I guess anything, and then mask.
So mask wise, I remember it was a very long process from then until now. I started recollecting again back when I started the website. It was a very strange, like, time, really. Like, it was hard to fully understand what was there. There wasn't a lot of information yet, really. We had the Albert Pinello website, and
Yep.
there wasn't much else. But since I had Thunderhawk already, the first thing mask wise that I went for was Switchblade. That was one that I, even though Rhino was like there, I loved Rhino. Switchblade, I had to go with the 1-2, and that's what I went for. But a lot of the stuff you see behind me here, except for anything that's like newer, this is all stuff I had when I was a kid. This is a lot of the stuff I had did survive my childhood. Some of it didn't. I probably had enough Masters figures to fill up 3 of these IKEA things. But unfortunately, with those floods and things of that nature, that ended up happening. Are they worth a ton of money? No, they're not worth a lot of money, but they have a ton of sentimental value to me.
Definitely.
And the same thing, like I have, the Superpowers collection here, and the Secret Wars and the Ninja Turtles. I had enough Ninja Turtles to fill the room up here when I was younger. But the mask items, that was the thing that I wanted to, like, I didn't have to recollect some of the other stuff. I had it already. I needed to get some of the harder to find pieces that I didn't have, like Cyborg or Captain Marvel for the Superpowers line, something along those lines. But the mask stuff, I was learning back then of Series 4, the European color variants of the figures and things of that nature. So Switchblade was where I started. And I would say that, you asked me about like Mask, and Venom, like what side you're on. I would say that I probably went on the Venom side, if I remember correctly. It would have been Switchblade, Jackhammer, and Piranha. And then I would have gravitated toward Condor and Gator, and Rhino would have been maybe a little bit later, because back then Rhino was even still expensive to find complete and in working order. So that's when I had maybe not a great job. 2001. I don't remember I don't remember too much about that time period, but a lot of the recollecting I did was it was like 2001 to 2005. And then that was like the main toy line. And after that, I started going for the weirder items. Like you have that, I pointed out in our chat, like you have that flag up there, for the, hey, come to this party. I started going for those little, those little things like that. And it's always hard to point where you're, looking at yourself. Exactly. And that's, I started gravitating toward that, but it would have been along those lines. So it's a good question, and not everybody's going to remember that. Fortunately for everybody that's watching or listening, is that I'm insane and I remember that. So
I'm actually quite similar to you. I'd be about 2000, and in very same vein as you, there's so much stuff I passed on because it just was not financially viable at that time, and now it's still not financially viable because the price of that has just skyrocketed even more. So
Like obviously, if you look behind me and look behind you, right, you can see how your collection is different from mine. What I had available when I was recollecting, like that's what I had available. So I, at the time, I was like, yeah, I would love to have everything in mint and box and have everything along those lines, but that wasn't in the cards. So I wanted to fulfill the passion and keep Mask alive, even though that wasn't the tagline back then. I just wanted to preserve as much as I could. And that's all you can do. You have to work within the means of what you have, what you can afford.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you and I and everybody else, like, we don't dictate what things are worth. Things are worth what they are worth. And, just from looking behind you, I'm like, I'm always in awe of looking at it. Like, I have some boxes. Oh, wrong hand. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Like, but like, I have boxes. They're not in great shape. I was just able to restore. Like, I don't know if you saw that, but I just restored a Thunderhawk box. Yeah, screw her, right? I was amazed. Like, I didn't think that would work, but it worked brilliantly. Like, and that was initially up for sale for $160 on eBay. I've been watching it forever, and I think I talked, like, I just watched it, and it finally came up for like best offer, and I offered $40 or something like that. So even if I failed, I would have had the Thunderhawk box, the American version. I have the European version there. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and if my wife divorces me for it, so be it. But I showed her. I got that name right off of there, even though it's her mom's name. I got that right off there, and I was just kind of amazed at it. And that's how I'm collecting. I'm collecting and like teaching. Like, I was so happy to teach that little thing. Like, if you're ever out and you see something like that, like if you're hesitant about buying it, well, you can maybe restore it and maybe spend 20% of what it might be worth, and then you do that. And that's an important aspect, because not everybody can afford to like recollect at the fullest. So I'm still amazed that I was able to.
Definitely. I mean, there's so many people I hear who join the various groups, and especially with the new group I set up, and they're saying that it's too expensive to start collecting. And I understand that it is very expensive, but there are still deals out there. And for instance, your Amy box. Last week I had a chat with Dick, and he bought I think a Goliath or something like $15 just because it was extremely dirty, muddy, and he cleaned it up, and the thing looked spick and span after cleaning it up. So, you don't need to go for those minty items. Just get the pieces, and a dirty item often has a jewel underneath it, and it can cost you $10-20.
No, it's a good collecting tip.
Yeah, and it makes it fun. For me, it's all about the hunt. It's the hunt. You want to look around. You want to get that good deal. You want to have fun with it. You don't want to be cheating people. That's definitely not what we're talking about. We're talking about having fun.
No, exactly. Like, I was ecstatic. Like I just cleaned the box, and I was like the happiest I've been in. I don't like it's a cardboard box, but it's Thunderhawk, and I was just like, I was happy to be able to teach that dynamic. And I like I said, you find something that's a little bit off, like, it's dirty, or it's maybe the chrome's faded away. There's ways of restoring all those things.
Exactly. And there's good restoration videos by Dan McMahon, so you can look at those as well.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, yes. So you can kind of get a feel of how to restore. Yes, exactly. Sentinel Bay Reviews. We'll put the link down. You can watch him again. He's got great stuff. I'm curious. So you've got all these collecting for the last 20 years. Do you have a single favorite piece? We'll make it difficult. One piece. If something happened and you had to run out of the house, what would you grab?
Well, aside from my wife and kid and dogs,
of course. Yeah. They're safe. You're alone, and you've got your mask room or your toy room, and you've got to vacate this room before the floods come. Or I don't know, Miles and his crew come to create some havoc.
Well, I've talked about this before on the show. It's actually not a M.A.S.K item.
Sacrilege.
It's an obscure figure on my bottom shelf. It's a mixed shelf of random things. And this might throw people off, and I'm sorry, but this Wolverine figure,
this. Oh God,
this thing, this literally is worth nothing, $1. But my brother and I, when we played when we were younger, we fought very hard to have Wolverine on our team. And this was the one that we fought over all the time. And I just remember, like, you know, I just remember those times with him with this. He was a little bit younger for M.A.S.K, but I remember this figure. I remember it fondly. And if I had to grab one thing out of this room, it would be this figure. But if okay, let's say this figure doesn't exist. You want to, let's go with a M.A.S.K item. I would say everything in here is expendable, except for this.
Yeah.
So Alan Greenwood, years ago, this was like 2006, 2007, did this really awesome Matt Tracker artwork for the site. All the different variations of Matt. It was a staple for a long time. And when I was first in contact with the voice actors, I was like, hey, would you guys mind signing this and then forwarding it around to everybody else? It was probably the first time that they actually had interaction with each other, outside of, like, I know that Doug, Brendan, and Sharon had kept in touch, but there's Doug Stone, Sharon Noble, Brendan McCain, Graham McKenna, Mark Halloran, like the major portions of the cast. This was something that was really kind of a culmination of things, so to speak. And I would have to probably grab this first. It just so happens that it fell off the wall earlier. So it was good that it was on the ground there, ready for me to pick up. So,
and I mean, so it all comes down to show why we collect. It's I use this term liberty nostalgia hunters. We're reliving our childhood. It's that emotion. I think a lot of us are a lot more in touch with our emotions as collectors, and so sentiment kind of drives us. And I'm the same. Like, if I had to choose, it'd be very hard, but I would pick up my childhood, which are in a box. I've got like just a Rhino and a Raven, T-Bob, and Scott, and that's the only box I would take out if I had to as well.
You probably leave Scott.
Yeah, it's tough. I'd be fighting between Scott and T-Bob. But yeah, so do you have a favorite vehicle now as an adult? Is it still? Did you change your mind, or?
I did. Goliath.
Goliath.
I love that set. There's a lot of things that are, the mask, there's so many really, really inventive and like charismatic vehicles. Like, the vehicles have personalities of their own. The Goliath toy, I can't explain how, like, phenomenal it is, even with Nevada Rushmore and his Totem Mask. The fact that it turns into like this, like, this tank type thing, and shoots missiles, like, you're firing off Goliath off that back end, Goliath 2, and there's just something about all those elements of it. And that's kind of like, that's me being more open and critical of all of the elements that you're looking at, and there's a lot to go with on that one.
Did you have one as a child? Did you have the Goliath?
I did not. So I got to experience that back in, like, 2005, give or take. I mean, I remember fondly from the cartoon, but by then, I guess my teeth were okay. So we weren't. I wasn't getting many mask toys at that point.
I don't know. Goliath has been one that I agree with you. I almost feel like it could have been a split seconds, or could have been a really awesome split seconds. You know, something that actually does have a dual purpose.
What are you talking about? What about
Dynamo. I mean, it's perfect.
Vandal?
Oh, Vandals. I'd say Dynamo. Dynamo is the king. Dynamo rules. You you could even call Buzzard, I guess, not even a split second. That could be like a trip second. What would you call it? Three-way, tri-second, because you can take off the rear spoiler and that becomes a hang glider.
Actually, 4. If you
Yeah,
want
and then
to
the drone. Yes, the drone. Yeah, so it's drone thingy, and then you need to have a fourth person to.
They were ahead over time on that. They were ahead over time.
They needed Scott in this racing series to go on the hang glider. Why that was never a scene, I don't know.
Well, he wasn't in the racing series except for like one post-credit thing. I don't even remember exactly. But yeah.
Scott the hang glider. That's going to be a good piece of art. So, Kiroak, can you please do that? Scott in the Buzzard hang glider.
I'll talk to him about it.
Yeah. Talk to him also about my agent profiles, because, yeah, it's about time. Talking of agent profiles, I've seen your profile. Now, I wanted to ask you, if you were a mask agent, what would you be? And is this your profile? Is it reflective, or is this a Kiro creation for you?
So that the first one, the one that's the fanatic one.
Yes, the fanatic. So that's the one I'm talking about.
So there's 2. So if anybody's just joining now, I live in New Jersey. I'm right outside of Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, and I'm a big Flyers hockey fan and Phillies baseball fan. And Brian, Kerouac, he's a Mets fan, and they're rivals in baseball. So we would talk baseball like this off and on, and we spurred this connection, this friendship out of M.A.S.K. It's been like I feel like I've known him since I was 5, really. One day he's just like, I did this for you. Out of nowhere, and it actually, it's hard to really describe it, because you think about all the time and all the just all the resources and everything else you put into whatever you're doing, and you know very well how long things take. That out of nowhere, it was one of the most heartwarming things I'd ever seen. And the description was everything was him. It was based off of a photo that I had taken of, it was I got my dad this headband. It was ridiculous. And my dad and my brother were at the baseball game with me. It was that's what we would do. Since we're a little bit further apart, we would go to the baseball games and be together. And he saw the picture and just decided to put that together. And it was you talk about out of nowhere, you talk about unexpected. Literally, that's the definition. And when I saw it, I just thought to myself, I'm like, at least I'm doing something right here. It's whether or not M.A.S.K comes back, all these years, somebody said hey, look how much this guy's doing. Let me just do this thing real quick. And it was a really touching thing. It's very funny too, if you know the fanatic. Both the costumes, the names are based off of the mascots of the team. So it's something I still hold very dear. So I had them. Oh, I got the right hand this time. They're right there. So, they're the next RetroCon. Hopefully next year, I'll have to figure out a way to make that costume.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That sounds
but yeah,
awesome.
it was one of those pleasant surprises like that you literally have no idea that's coming. Um, and yeah, it's still I still think about it like the same way when like Doug Stone did the recording for the website, like welcome to mattracker.com. Like it's that kind of thing where like I didn't expect anything and all of a sudden it happens and it's something that you remember.
Really.
Yeah.
No, I feel that it's that appreciation. I mean, you don't. I mean, I can speak for myself. We don't do this for fame. We don't do this for fortune, and we don't expect the
Oh, I
appreciation.
do this for fortune. I'm
Okay,
a
well,
billionaire from this
then
channel and website.
we'll come to that because there's some interesting questions about that. But I want to stay with that picture from Kiro because he has a great role that you have as co-pilot of your absolute favorite vehicle, Billboard Blast. And we're not going to let you get away. I mean, we're talking Billboard. And this comes up to my next question from Agents Ask Unmasked. And that comes from Dazzle Dude. Why do you hate this beauty so much? I mean, come on. It is got to be in my top 5 tier vehicles. So convince me otherwise. Well, what's wrong with this? This is a work
It's
of
in your
engineering.
top 5?
It's a feat of engineering. I won't say top 5 of what? I said top 5.
All right. I'm signing off of the call now. I'll see you later. I've lost all respect.
I said top 5. I didn't say what. So it's going to sit here in my view so that you can see it and it won't be obstructed by any graphics. Which one do you prefer, the Pennzoil or the stock? I'll let you choose.
Go with that one. Go with that. At least that side I can.
You can see Thunderhawk. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, all right. So Billboard Blast is it's my least favorite out of the line, out of all of them, even including Vandal and Dynamo and all those ones.
Oh my God.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm probably in the minority on a lot of this.
Definitely.
But what ended up happening was I realized, like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, it's a Billboard. This belongs with the train set that I can't find anywhere. Like that's what it is. Poor Dusty, literally. I mean, and I know with Hornet, with the laser command set, Matt is sitting in that box waiting for his moment to strike. But at least that box does something.
Pew pew.
No, I mean, and I know that it's I know that Billboard Blast does fly in the comics and things of that nature.
And it flies in the toy as well. It's got missile propulsion on the box. You cannot go against that.
All right.
And there's turbines inside. Okay, let's forget about the flight. Let's go on. Yeah.
I think about it. I think about this thing way too logistically.
Okay.
So Dusty is in his full outfit, right? Mask on. And all those races were pretty much in the desert.
Yeah.
So he's enclosed. There's nothing on there that says there's air conditioning, number one.
Maybe the turbines when it's closed?
I don't know. It always felt like, oh, guys, we need another thing to put out. I saw this billboard coming in. Billboard, let's do that. Like it was like a last ditch type thing. The figure's phenomenal. I love that figure. That figure is one of my top figures out of the entire line. But there's something about it. It's just like it feels so lazy. It feels so uninspired. And I know that some people might look at it and go, well, look, you're taking a billboard and turning it into a weapon or doing whatever you're doing. Why?
Well, why not?
It's about, I mean, even like, Pit Stop Catapult, the Collector, those ones had something to go with. And I understand, like, hey, you're out racing, you're going to see a billboard on
Yep.
on the road. You know, why does Dusty have to sit in there and suffer through
But
all that?
it's, illusion is the ultimate weapon.
But he's dying in there.
It's still an illusion.
Dusty is dead. He he had Gator. He had one of the most iconic toys.
Yeah.
Of the 80s. I'm just going to say that. One of the most iconic toys of the 80s.
He definitely did.
And then you stick him in that thing.
But don't you ever want to be in a nice little quiet room? He might be thinking of new pizza recipes. It's isolation chamber. Like, people pay top dollar to go into an isolation chamber, to be zen. And he's inside this nice billboard, nice and calm, turbines gently humming. And then when action starts, he flips open and choo 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 and fires his missile and flies away. And then he goes to a new location and shows the other side of the billboard. And again, that's a new illusion.
I think if it was more fleshed out, like if the racing series had more episodes, it might have not as been as toxic to me. Because of the fact that it's stationary. I think that was part of the the way that it transpired, so to speak. And I just love to hate it now, to be honest.
I know it's meme worthy.
I just wish better for Dusty. I don't understand why they stuck him in that damn thing.
So who would you have wanted inside here? Like Scott?
Yeah, I mean, Scott can go in there with no intervention. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Put Scott in there. Okay. 100%. Then I would say, yeah, it's a great vehicle because Scott will roast to death.
So, but I do have to add the next Agent Awesome Us question, which is also coming from Dazzle Dude, and this is a beauty, and is: have you noticed that your least favorite mask toy has your namesake, and how does that make you feel?
What's the namesake?
Bill.
Oh, that's my name. I mean, obviously there, I didn't think of that. No, I
didn't either. It was a great question.
No, I'm always learning. And that's what I love about this community, is that I'm always learning. The comics, especially, like I'm still learning things about the comics that I didn't know about all those years ago.
The comics really are a different multiverse or maskiverse or whatever we call it, especially the UK
no, they
ones.
Are.
It's a different, different story arc.
They definitely are. But I mean, to go back to the question, I'm sorry that it never really put much thought into it. But as I think about it, I find it fitting, I guess, to know that something that I despise has my name in it. Technically, my name is William, if we want to get really technical.
Yeah.
So no, my name is not in that. What kind of question is that?
I shall. Well, Dazzle Dude will be watching this, and I'm sure he will come back with a comeback question to that. But yeah, let's move on from Billboard. But should I leave him here because he's just so beautiful? We'll let him move away.
The stock size better. Stock size better.
So, yes. Talking about Billboard Blast. So, have you seen all the reimaginations with the new stickers done by Phil Davis? So,
yes.
And he's now coming out with another new set of stickers where he's changing up the graphics again. So, I guess it might make it even more palatable to you because you can put more interesting things, and you can just use it as a billboard if you don't want to transform it. Put it next to your boulder hill.
Any kind of creator, any kind of customizer, I have a huge admiration for, big or small. And if you're taking something and transforming it like that, like I've seen his work, and it's really really phenomenal. You're taking something that's stagnant and giving it new life. And obviously a billboard is one, you have that canvas there to work with. It's easier to work with that element than it is for like the little intricate stickers, like which people have done, like um, the Boulder Hill customization. I forget exactly who did that, but
Same guy, Phil Davis. Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Phil.
Yeah.
There's so many things out there like with this community
Yeah.
that happens. Like, so it's really cool to see like reimagining and reinventing. For me, like that's like I did a shirt with it on there because of how much I despise it, but I know deep down somewhere I have a soft spot for it. There has to be somewhere.
It's a
Like
love
it's going to be
hate.
like, let's whittle them down till we figure it out. But whenever you see those new stickers or those new the customizations, it's cool to see. And as you said, it's a billboard. Like you can put it anywhere really, and they're relatively inexpensive. You can get them for like $15.
Exactly. And you don't need the
Uh,
figure inside or the missiles. If you're using
yeah.
it just for display of a billboard, you just need the casing for it. I mean, on a similar line with like a billboard plus, which never came out, looking at Thunderball, which I guess would fit in the very same vein. I mean, yeah, that's just a ball that opens up and does a missile, and it's almost a reimagination of it. And I'd take Billboard Blast over Thunderball, but Thunderball is just so.
I'm not going to disagree with you there. I would probably do the same.
Yeah, but
As
because
sad as it is.
yeah. So I mean, it's ironic, and same thing with Rampart. That looks like a pretty lame toy, but because it never came out, they are the holy grails. We always kind of tend to, as collectors, strive or very often strive or cherish or really want what is not obtainable, even if we don't really like it, which is a bit bizarre.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. So on the line of wants and looks, so Lisa has our next agent ask Unmasked question. She says, you are always on eBay looking to add to your collection. What are you looking for, and what is the holy grail item you want to add to your collection other than another Billboard Blast?
3 billboard blasts. So
Different box variants.
Sure, all of them. I want the one that has like one letter off. I need to find that. I mean, I have the box.
Yes,
there.
Yeah,
and I got that. It was a gift. It was gifted. I wasn't gonna say no to it, but yeah, it might as well have been like a bag full of like, it was like a flaming bag of dog duty or something. Really, it's like, I appreciate the fact that one of my family members like realized that, hey, look, I found this box. They found it out in the wild, and they were like, I'm gonna get this for Bill for. It was either my birthday or Christmas. So I appreciate the fact that that actually happened. But Holy Grail wise, like what I'm looking for, well, we'll backtrack a little bit. What I'm looking for really are opportunities to add to my collection without spending a lot of money. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but that's when I said earlier, like I have to be able to work within the means of what I can afford.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking for right now are boxes, empty boxes, really. Condition obviously does not matter to me, as long as they are able to be displayed. They can have cuts on them. They can have pieces of missing, stickers all over them, Amy writing her name on it. I'm looking for stuff like that, and some of the maybe some of the other things too, like there's like a pinball set. I know that it's out there. I've been trying to find it. If I can find the train set, that'd be phenomenal. I would love to have that. Those types of things. Like I'm not looking like. I know there's people out there that are looking for like sealed and package, or they're looking for cell animation. And yeah, if I type in mask and that comes up, sure. If I see it, I'll look into it. But the things that I'm actively looking for are, the boxes that I don't have. And they're easy to find, but they can be expensive. So I'm just kind of waiting on ones that are within the realm of what I can afford. As I recollect, yeah, if I really wanted to, I could have a sealed laser command if I wanted to, but I can't afford it. I could with if I just put myself into deeper debt with credit cards. Who cares about Liam's future? Yeah, who cares about that?
It'll sort itself out.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. Yeah, it'll be fine. But it would be I'd be so ecstatic to be able to talk to somebody at Kenner that worked on.
I hear that, and I mean that kind of fits with your whole modus operandi, at least from what I see, is that your passion to keep M.A.S.K alive and understanding the history behind it is part and parcel of that journey. And so I'd like to talk a little bit more about that journey. So what made you start mattracker.com? What was that? What was the spark that ignited? You mentioned you had a Thunderhawk and you realized there wasn't other stuff around. I'm sure there was. Yeah. What?
Well, there's a couple elements to this story, and I know that can be long-winded at some points, so I'll try to keep it as short as I can. There was a point in time where my dad brought home our first home computer, and I took it apart that night. Just took it apart. It was a Packard Bell, if anybody remembers that brand. I was up all night. I was looking at all the parts. I was so mesmerized by how does this work? My dad comes walking by the room where the computer was. I'm sitting there. It was like 4 a.m. He goes, "That better work." by the end of the day, I just remember it was so nonchalant, it was an empty threat, really. But it did. It worked, and I was just kind of mesmerized by computers at that point. And I remember finding my original Matt Tracker figure, which is up there. It was behind a radiator in my parents' house, and I don't remember why I was looking back there, but I remember finding it. I was like, "Oh, I want to look up more about M.A.S.K," and there was not much out there. So, it was aside from Albert Pernello's website, and there were some other obscure ones. For some reason, I thought I'm going to teach myself web design, and that's why I was kind of interested with your son's progression of things too. It kind of has the same kind of arc that well, similar, but it's and that's kind of how that came to be. But it was the original name was Mask Domain of Matt Tracker. I don't know where that name came from. And I wish I had, and I talked about this in the chat with Lisa and Darcy that I just did. I wish I had snapshots of those old websites because they were bad. But it was the way I taught myself how to do what I was doing, project management and coding. And
so this was
all this other.
How long ago was this? This was 2001 or earlier than that?
Yeah, this was 2001. The early iterations. MatTracker.com didn't come to be until I would say 2006.
Okay.
2007. The name change itself, and that's when the Alan Greenwood artwork came out around that same time. So yeah, it was kind of that's how it progressed. And the first website was on GeoCities or Tripod, one of those.
Yeah, GeoCities was one of the big ones. Yeah, everyone used GeoCities.
Yeah, that's kind of how that came to be there. So
okay, and why Matt Tracker? It's just because it was your favorite at that time, or you thought he was synonymous with M.A.S.K being the.
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
In hindsight, maybe having a name that was more global might have been a good way to go, but it was kind of it was Matt Tracker. It was my favorite. Maybe formulate it this way and kind of go from that avenue. Search engine optimization wise, it wasn't the greatest choice, but it's worked out pretty well.
Well, if you type in Matt Tracker, your one does come up on the top 2.
No, I mean, like now it does.
Yeah.
Back then, I didn't know what the hell that was. So,
yeah, if you're not a Mask fan, you're not going to be searching for Matt Tracker.
Correct.
Then, yeah. And your slogan, keeping Mask alive since 2001, when did that pop up? Oh, forget about the 2001, the keeping Mask alive. I mean, I know that's your vision, but becoming a formalized slogan.
A few years ago, I don't remember exactly how many years, I wanted to have something for people to rally around. And there's a lot of people that are working hard on what they're doing and loving M.A.S.K and producing content, producing customization stuff. And without anything official, I wanted people to know and realize that people are doing this, whether it's the casual fan, whether it's an executive at Hasbro, near you, anybody in between. I wanted that. I wanted to think of something that like kind of personified the struggle.
Yeah.
And that's kind of I came up with it and it's kind of stuck. And since 2001, that was in there because that's when the website was formulated. So
yeah.
It's kind of how it came to be, and I just hope that it's something that people can resonate to.
Well, I mean, it also rolls off the tongue, and I think it's very fitting. It's a great slogan.
Yeah, it's better than like, where's the beef or stuff like that. So that's a commercial in the States. If you would remember that if you were in the States. So
nope. So you've moved on from it's way over my head. It's in a different MASKverse as well. I think let's move on to another question from the fans, because I think that's more interesting to hear what Agents Ask Unmasked want to know. And one question for Mr. Intensity, I believe he's one of your members. Where do you see your channel in 5 years?
It's a question I ask to my interns when they come in.
Yes.
It's an interview. Channel.
Yes. Well, you should. Maybe you can ask them that next time.
Where do you see your channel in 5 years? What are you talking about, sir? I don't know. It's what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying, like, I've brought it to a point where it is, and I want people that are passionate about M.A.S.K to have a voice, and I want to convey that. I want people to have that voice. I want people to share their knowledge, to share everything they can. And is that 1 year worth of time? Is that 5 years worth of time? It's hard to tell. I'm not a big time YouTube creator. So I don't know how all this really transpires. But I know that as long as there's something for me to talk about, I'm going to keep pushing, forward. I'm hoping that's where we keep going. I'm hoping that in 5 years' time that I'm outside of the house for more than 5 minutes without a mask on.
Yeah.
That's, other than that, the sky's the limit, really. So.
I mean, I hear you. I mean, the amount of, you say you're not a content creator, but you're pumping out videos right now at quite a phenomenal rate. It's few a week, I see. And that brings me to another Agents Ask Unmasked questions by Mad Max, Wesley Dirksen. And he wants to know, why are you commenting? Why are you now also commenting on other toy lines? Is this a M.A.S.K channel?
It is, Wes. It's a M.A.S.K channel. That's why I broke up to be on the M.A.S.K. I thought about it as I was going through it, and it's a M.A.S.K channel, but every so often I like to talk about the other things that I collect too. And we kind of touched on it a little bit, and in the early part of this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of other lines as well, but Mask is obviously the dominating force.
Mhm.
Huge Batman fan, huge DC and Marvel Comics fan. You got some of the Ninja Turtles down there and the Masters of the Universe. I'm eventually, I'm gonna branch off and talk about those things because
Have you thought
they're
about putting
important to me.
those on a separate channel that's not Mask related,
It's
or do
gonna
you
be on the
think
same chat. It's gonna be on the
yeah,
Matt Tracker channel, except you're gonna see a different title with
yeah,
a different color.
yeah,
And it's gonna be Beyond the Mask.
yeah? You already
Um,
have a few episodes out of that.
There are, and there are some that are intertwined with Behind the Mask. When I was doing it, I wasn't 100% sure. Like it's a work in progress type thing, really. Um, but they'll be like, hey, look, if you don't want to watch this, don't watch it. If you're subscribed to the channel to watch Mask content, I love you for that. Every so often, I want to talk about something a little bit different
Well,
on
I'm
that
sure Wes
front. So
will get in contact with you with your answer and let you know if that is acceptable. I
I
have a feeling I know what he will say, but I shall let him say it to you directly. But on a more personal note, I think there's a beautiful question for Agent Arts Unmasked by Frederick C. Kruger, one of your other members, and I think this is a wonderful question. So he says, "What does Mask actually mean to Bill Faries as a whole? Personally, what does it mean to him? After all, he's been doing it since 2001, so it's got to mean something."
it starts it starts with memories, from childhood and playing with these with my brother and my cousins. That's where it all starts. And almost every important aspect of my life outside of like my wedding and the birth of my child have to do with Mask in some way or form, where it's all intertwined. And it's it's not something that I can say that this is definitive on one thing or another, but the aspect of all of it and not giving up, not stopping. I'm proud that I haven't done that. I'm proud that I haven't given up hope because it's all we have. Um, and to see what has become with all these other websites and groups, I'm glad that it's held and kept going through other mediums other than just me, because I'm not an end all be all. I'm just me, and your site and Agents of Mask and All About Mask, Mask Comics, BaldurHouse.net, all these websites out there, all these groups. There's so many Facebook groups. I can't even keep track of them all
I know.
now. That's what all this means to me is the fans being there, despite the fact that we literally have nothing new to really gravitate toward. That's the biggest thing for me is the progression forward to whatever it is now.
I
There's all these different elements, but to know that there's so many people that are fans, people that we haven't even touched, not physically, because I think that's a sexual harassment thing.
yeah, it's a little wrong. Yeah.
But there's so many people out there that it's just really cool to be able to connect the little chats, even if it's a email,
Yeah.
a one-off email. That's really what it means to me. It's
I mean, I fully hear you.
camaraderie.
That was beautifully said. And I think the Mask fandom is definitely growing. and all efforts to keep it alive. As you say, I mean, I don't want to steal your slogan, but I do think that is a, a very fitting
It's not
statement.
trademarked.
Oh, well, then I shall trademark it myself, and then. But yeah, so I've been in other groups which are non-mask groups, and then people will occasionally post up mask things, and it's starting to become more apparent. Just recently in a Centurions group, whole thread started appearing on mask. So it's something that's definitely resurging. It's wonderful. It makes it tough for new collectors or collectors who are halfway through collecting, because now they're fighting against all these guys. But it's the camaraderie. I mean, I take away the joy of meeting. I just met again just through my WhatsApp group a few new guys who we chat now really regularly, and I speak to them more than real world friends. So it's a beautiful thing. You mentioned something about giving up, not giving up, and that there's another wonderful question, Agents Ask the Mask question by Kiro Wack. And have you ever,
that guy.
Weirdo, right? So his question to you is, have you ever thought of throwing in the towel and calling it day as far as keeping M.A.S.K alive?
Yeah, there have been times. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. And like, it's not just me. There's other entities out there as well. But if I'm just speaking directly about, myself, there have been times where, like, arbitrary times. My domain's going to expire soon. Do I want to renew it? Is it worth for me to do that? Like, it's like $18.
Yeah.
It's like those are like the milestones that you hit at this point for something as obscure as M.A.S.K is, for as long as it has been. Hey, all this time I put into this website, is it? What's the end game here? As I thought of, I would think about this. This happened about, I want to say, 2 times. After the message board crash, and I haven't been able to restore that. I was like, I feel so bad. All this stuff is missing and lost. That was a low point, I would say. I still have the data. I just can't restore it. It's a thing that I'm trying to do. It's at least just for a archive aspect.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't do it, I just felt like I was disappointing everybody. Like I said, there were times, but not now. People like Brian Kerouac, people like yourself, people like Wes, people like Cliff Dagger, who still don't know the guy's name, or girl. It could be either one. You have all these elements, all these people out there, Mass Shark Customs, all these great fans, these great collectors, these great people.
Yeah.
That's what it is, like forging those friendships and forging those bonds. It's a trivial thing, and it might sound trivial to a lot of people, but I never thought that I would be friends with people, like, out of thin air, essentially, in different areas of the world.
Yeah.
Over an entity like M.A.S.K. And as long as people are interested and they want to chat about it, I'm going to be there.
As long as it remains a passion and fun, it will always be there. Once it starts becoming work or a headache, then you know that something needs to change. I know it feels like a lot of work at times. I mean, you've been doing it for so long, so I respect that even more so. And I've been doing it for a short period of time, but the amount of time and hours, there are times even now I'm like, do I really want to do this part? It's like, and I'm like, no, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. As long as I'm enjoying it, I will continue that. But if it ever feels like, God, this is a bore, God, this is a burden, then you got to take a step back, because you don't want to make your passion become something that's not fun. I think it's a fine balance there. I mean, yeah, I've put this under the content creator Bill side, and I think we've really covered that quite nicely. I mean, I've got a lot more insight from you, and I think people watching will have learned a lot of other things from you, which we haven't heard before. And that was the reason I wanted to talk to you, give you that platform to. I know you mention it yourself in bits and pieces as you go through your videos, but we kind of put it together and really see, what drives you. And I'm sure it can be really tiring. And there's this question I just have to ask, and I had to find a way of sticking it in here. I think this is the perfect place for an Agent Ask Unmasked. Another one from Dazzle Dude. I think it's because some of the work can be super tiring, but he wanted to know, why was there a bed behind you in the past in your videos?
Well, initially I was renting it out. For a couple $100 a night, you could spend a night on the M.A.S.K bed, which was over here.
And do they get to be in the videos as well?
No, you just get to sleep in the. So when we moved into the house we're in now, it's not a very fun story, but I find it kind of humorous. We didn't have any kind of spare bedrooms or anything like that. So the bed that was here was like, if somebody's visiting, we had that one bed. We had this one twin bed, and it was doctored up. Like, I have the quilt, the sheet, the pillowcase, everything in between. And it became a part of that area. But when I realized that I needed to kind of move around things a little bit, the bed, we still have all the bed parts. It's in the garage. So if you want that bed, I will ship it to you.
Just comment down here and you'll get the bed. Is that the prize to give away? Comment, like, subscribe, and you might win Bill's bed.
So basically, this was my office and then a guest room. But, you're in here and you're going, what the hell am I looking at?
I mean, I thought it was an awesome thing. Like, you could, at the end of the day, a long day, you just go down there, lie down there, relive your childhood with your mask, blanket and sheets, and look at your toys.
During COVID times right now, I wish it was in here.
Yeah.
Because there could be some times with Zoom where I can get really creative with the background and pretend like I'm paying attention to a Zoom meeting or something like that, and just be laying in the bed. But I kind of wish it was still here, to be honest.
So do you leave your toys in the back when you do your work Zoom meetings?
No, I'll turn it on here. So I have a shot of my office at work. So this is my office at work. You can see this is a Batman figure up there, and there's my original Thunderhawk.
Yep.
So this is like, if I'm at work, this is a shot from the monitor looking at my office. So I have this on, so you can't see the craziness behind me.
So I use a mask background. I don't have it on this laptop. It's the one that very famous scene that's got like all the vehicles fighting one another. It's used in quite a lot of the advertising. I'll put it up over me here. So that's my background even when I give lectures. So.
Being in a corporate environment, I have to make sure it's not even like, it's just I guess a courtesy, because I think a lot of it would be distracting.
And you still have your Thunderhawk back there, so you do have something mask.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to, end. I mean, we've been chatting for quite a while, but there's one thing I really did want to cover, and that is, you've been keeping M.A.S.K alive for all this time, and you've been asked what your view is in the future for a channel. But I want to know your views on what the future holds for M.A.S.K as an entity. And maybe I'll use Agent Ask Unmasked question from David is, what would you like to see in a modern cartoon series? Would you want it to be CGI, traditional animation, live action?
I don't know if traditional animation is really a thing anymore, to be honest.
I wish it was. I don't think so. It's too expensive and time consuming.
Yeah, that would be ideal. That would be great, but I don't think it's an actual element. I think it's all going to be computer generated. And to be honest, my knowledge of current animation, like I'm not 100% on all that. So the Castlevania series on Netflix, it's anime driven. You can see how it's easy to see how it's done. Um, Animation like that would be really cool. Um, CG. I mean, I would imagine that's how you would have to go. To be honest, I don't know. I don't think there's any studio that does cell animation anymore, right?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
You know, I can't think of one. But cartoon wise, it would be, it kind of be the same premise, really, like as a movie. Like I wanted to kind of maybe pick up where it left off, but also have continuity. Learn more about some of the backstories.
Exactly. I'd want to know the backstories.
I would take stick figures at this point with a flip book. That's a thing I know of. I can do that.
Yeah.
So that'll be my next episode. It'll be a flip book of stick figures, and you and I will voice the characters. I don't know.
Talking about voicing the characters, I don't want to go into talking about a potential movie. You've already done whole episodes on that, but there's a nice Agent Awesome Ask question from Dazzle Dude. If they made a film and approached you to play Matt Tracker, would you play him?
No, I couldn't do it. Why would I want to play?
Why not?
Yeah, sure. Would I want to? Yeah, that'd be great. But I'm not movie pretty. I'm YouTube obscure cartoon chat pretty. I would. The one thing that'd be really cool, like if something like that did happen, if somebody asked me for like advice on something, I would be ecstatic about that.
Yeah.
But
I'll be
no,
an extra.
here's your coffee, sir.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines. But I would be ecstatic about anything really. But I would leave the acting to professionals unless it was somebody that was producing something on their own and they really wanted the movie to fail. I'm your man. So.
What about toy line wise? So David asked, what would you like to see in a modern Mask toy line? Because there's a lot of talk about the toys, right? And I mean, with Transformers and their little, I'm sure you pre-ordered, right? They should be coming out soon or January.
Yes.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered that set on Amazon.
Yeah.
The little micros, and I'm going to keep the two and put the others on eBay. To be honest, and I touched on this when I talked to Retro Blasting a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Anything that's going to come out with a M.A.S.K logo on it, I'm going to buy. Am I going to be ecstatic with it? I don't know. And we talked about this earlier. The figures and the vehicles complete each other.
Yeah.
So would I be happy with a straight figure run in the G.I. Joe scale? Sure, I'd be happy. I wouldn't be ecstatic. But I also know that the molds aren't there anymore for a lot of this stuff. So I don't know how they would go about recreating or, kind of regenerating these elements. So it would be hard to kind of do that. But if they came out with a line of figures, if customizers can do it, why can't a legitimate toy company kind of
look at like this? Super 7, right? They're coming out with everything. Reaction figures.
I would take the G.I. Joe scale. I would take a 6-inch scale. I would take the original scale if it was 2 packs. Again, the figures, I feel like those molds would be easy to replicate. The vehicles would be harder to replicate, but how intricate they are. That doesn't mean it's impossible. But in a perfect world, no matter what scale it is, you'd have a figure vehicle. And that's my mind on that.
I mean, as long as it comes out, I'm with you on that. I think anything that would have a M.A.S.K logo on it, I would buy, and I have bought any of the reissues. But
Funko Pops, anything really.
yeah.
Like, underwear, sure. I could always use new underwear. I don't know. So
The underoos. Well,
yeah.
I think there's a couple on eBay not too long ago. On the line of toys.
They new or used?
Which one would be more valuable?
I have no idea.
Depends who wore them.
Yeah.
Let's stick to toys. Lee, who's M.A.S.K fans on Instagram, wanted to know, do you have a dream toy you would like to be made? Maybe something from the show, or do you have an idea for your own creation?
Well, there's the Magma Mole, which Cliff Dagger made already. That was always a cool thing. I thought was a missed opportunity. And a little while ago, Jason, Agents of M.A.S.K, we did an episode on missed opportunities. The transport plane, Blackout. There's all these elements that were really cool vehicles, one-off.
And all made by customizers already.
Except for the transport. That was in a couple episodes. But I always felt like there was something missing, like ice. I don't have an exact vehicle in mind or a M.A.S.K power in mind, but I always felt like there was something missing on that aspect. How would you introduce it into the show? I have no idea. You had all these other elements in it. I felt like something along those lines might have been cool to see. No pun intended there on that one.
Yeah, no, I have a couple of questions left. One of them I think we will leave for a non-PG version, but I'm going to try keep everything as raw as possible because it makes it more fun that way. But before I let you kind of say your parting words and anything else you want to add, I just want to ask one question from Agents Awesome Arthur O'Neill. And he says, have you ever been ID'd and given a false ID for a Matt Tracker driving license? Is this something you would plan on doing or have done?
I never thought of that, to be honest. I don't know how that I don't have that kind of underworld.
You need Miles for that.
Well, I need Buddy. I need his contacts. It's never something that I can say that I've really thought of, to be honest.
As a kid, did you ever dress up as Matt? Did you have the costume you've got behind your right ear? I guess that's your right ear. The Halloween outfits. Did you ever have those as a kid? Did you pretend to be the agent?
I did that. Yes, I had the big wheel, the Thunderhawk big wheel, when I was a kid. I wish I still had it for my little guy, but
yeah.
No, I would do that a lot. I remember playing that a lot, and thankfully, I'm hoping it doesn't exist anymore. But I remember singing the theme song for my mom, and she recorded it.
Okay, so everyone, look out for that. If you got that, please send it over. It's going to be on YouTube.
Yeah, that's going to be the new intro to this.
That's going to be the new intro.
I think I was about 6.
Okay.
And there was that aspect, but I'm hoping that doesn't exist anymore. No, my mom knows, she probably has it. So,
and if she watches this, she will please help out Bill's mom. Help us out.
Yeah.
So, do you ever? And I guess Arthur goes on in some other ways. I'll let you infer how much, but he's basically asking, do you still ever wear the Matt Tracker outfit now?
I don't fit in it. So there's your answer. I've tried.
Okay, well that's what we're getting at. We want to know the.
I tried to do it for an episode, and it's the plastic is so. You wouldn't think plastic would be brittle.
Yeah, it
pulled apart at the crotch. We'll just leave it there.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Any parting words? On that
That's my parting word.
That's your parting word. Matt Tracker's crotch. What a fitting end. We've got Billboard Blast right here, and we've got Tracker's crotch. So I have nothing more I can say that can top that, and I'm pretty sure you can't. If you can, please try.
I, it's a sentiment that I've conveyed as much as I can, and throughout all this time, and I'm just happy that there's a community to revolve around, and everybody's a big part of it. It's not one person. It's all of us working together. No matter how big or small your part is, it's up to us as a collective keep this moving forward. All the customizers, all the websites, all the people that are posting random memes of things, like those little memes, that's all part of it. Like you might not think about that, but questions and comments, it's all part of the continuity of us moving this as far as we can without any backing from any sort of studio whatsoever. And that's the most important aspect for me. And that, and the billions of dollars I have from the channel. Speaking of that, I have to go wash my Lamborghini.
It's all the endorsement deals and your channel subscribers, right? It's
it's right up there. It's peaking. I can only afford one Lamborghini though, so
that's not good enough. Well, thanks so much, Bill. Hope you have an awesome day, awesome Sunday, and I'm sure we'll chat soon. We definitely will be chatting soon with the other project together with Gordon, and I look forward.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Did I say something weird?
Who's Gordon?
I don't know.
Who are you?
See you, Bill.
We will be chatting. It's going to be a fun project to keep pushing forward on.
Definitely.
What is that project? Well, can't tell you yet. We'll tell you in a little bit.
Yeah, stay tuned. Watch both channels and you'll find out. With that, I shall say goodbye, good night, good morning, wherever you are.
Good night.
Good morning. See you, Bill.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.